Welcome back to the Laravel Community Spotlight. With me today is Jack McDade. Welcome to the show, Jack, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Eric. My name is Jack McDade, and I think that explains it all. So I'm the creator of Statamic. That's what I do for, kind of my full main time gig. It's a CMS built on Laravel. It's been around for 12 years, and our team is like up to 5 or 6 people now. We're just kind of trying to build like the best possible CMS ever. And when I'm not doing that, because I always have to scratch an itch, I'm a designer and a developer. So I've released a design course called Radical Design. I'm always kind of tinkering with some like silly ideas on the side or whatever. But between Statamic and my side projects, that's pretty much at least the internet version of me.
Nice. So my first question is all about Statamic. Like I don't think I've ever heard this, so I would love to hear sort of the origin story. Like how did you decide, hey, I'm going to create Statamic?
Yeah, so it was like end of 2011, and I had been working on. I kind of had like a one-man design studio sort of thing, and then sometimes I had a second person. We could tag team projects. And I was designing and building client websites using, at the time, Expression Engine, but always trying to like find a CMS that, was more efficient or faster to, just to get stood up the way I wanted. And I was just so frustrated by how hard it was to maintain multiple client sites when they all had databases with the content in it. So you have 5 clients, and one client would be like, oh yeah, I need you to like add a blog to my site. And you're like, well, I told you wanted one. And you're like, yeah, whatever. I want it now. And so like you'd work on the blog on dev, but then they'd be updating the content on the site. And so the databases aren't in sync anymore. So what do? You like, please stop editing the site, or you have to like recreate some of the stuff in production, or like copy and like custom SQL exports, whatever. It was just always so painful. I'm like, this is just 95% of this is just the text. It's literally HTML that's like stuck in a database. Why can't we put that stuff in a file and then version control it? That way I can just do a git merge and just like keep going. So that was the idea. Like, is it possible to build a CMS that relied mostly on flat files instead of a database for the content? And I started hacking on the idea and realized like this is gonna take forever by myself. I found a buddy who wanted to hack on it with me for a little while, and we got a 1.0 out in June 2012. And it was, man, dude, the internet was a different place 12 years ago. I'm just laughing at how it was built, how we sold it, and everything. But that is the origin story in a nutshell.
I love that. Yeah, so that was going to be, actually, you kind of led into it. My next question is like, why did you decide on the flat files versus, more of the sort of traditional approach where it's just like some sort of database? So you sort of answered that already. So that's pretty cool. So you basically, in those early days, you wanted a better way to like work with your clients and just pull stuff down and not have to like sync databases and do all that headache.
Even when I had 2 people, me and another guy, like the 2 of us trying to sync on a CMS build with a database was like, you had to have a remote database server and you're both connected to it. And like, it just felt so janky. Like, how is this so awkward in what felt like the super modern 2012s, like the internet? Like we don't have to use GIFs to round our corners anymore. That we should be able to solve this. And that is the reason why. And the problem with it though is like it hadn't been done before. Like right around the same time, there was like 1 or 2 others that came out with totally different approaches or built on different frameworks or whatever, but kind of like doing the flat file thing. And it was a long road of like educating people, like, is this only for tiny sites? Can this scale? Like, how does it work? And, the early versions of Statamic didn't scale. There was no caching. There was no, like, it was just raw, like PHP scanning, like globbing file directories and stuff. But over the years, 12 years, there's a lot of intelligence built in. and I'm probably answering future questions, but like it no longer is a flat file only CMS now. We have drivers, so you can do a database, you can use Firebase, you could push it all into, I don't know, Oracle if like, you wanted to or something. But like you can do whatever you want to now. But it still starts out of the box as flat file because, in my opinion, it is the easiest way to stand up the 1.0 of a site. And then we have a one command. You run it, and it like creates all your migrations and like imports all your data in the database, and you could just run on MySQL after that. So it's really, really flexible.
That's awesome. So that is sort of that's sort of your recommendation. You know, when you first start with Statamic, just go with the flat files, learn the system, and kind of go from there. And if you do feel like flat files aren't the answer, then you can always push it out to a database if you needed to.
Yeah, I mean, we've got it all scripted out and automated. It's like a really quick process. So, in my opinion, like when you are building out a site and there are no pages, when you're making your first ones, like being able to find and replace in your content, being able to just like version control all the changes is great. And like once you go to production, depending on like why you might need a database or why you not, like it's not necessarily like speed, but it's if you have millions of entries, well, now we're talking, that's like a bottleneck for flat files. Or if you have, really, really huge entries with like, I don't know, like hundreds of like chapters of books or like something that's like really, really, really long, or highly relational and you want to actually use like eloquent models and stuff. Yeah, there's like a number of reasons why you wouldn't want to go flat file, but yeah, especially just the dev workflow is the best workflow.
And it's probably what 95% of people using Statamic can get away with just using flat files. That I feel like you're talking about more edge casey stuff, where most people aren't going to need that.
85 to 90, I'd say, but the ones that need it, need it, and it doesn't make sense for us, as a customer-focused product to be like, well, sorry, you got to like. Technically, it does everything you need it to, except run fast. Like, yeah. But we love the control panel. We love the templating. We love like how it all is organized. You're like, yeah, but sorry, it's going to be slow. Like, no, we had to solve it, and that was Statamic 3. Was like when we rewrote it with drivers for data storage. And yeah, I think we still probably struggle to like tell people that story. Like, Statamic can like it's not. Like it can scale, Don't worry about it. That's
yeah. Well, and two, you sort of mentioned that, but I think wasn't it Statamic 4 where y'all did a whole lot of improvements on performance across the board on Statamic, right?
That was 5, yeah. Which came
that was 5.
This April, yeah, like massive performance improvements. Yeah, we have a secret wizard who like works part time, who just built out all these crazy Blackfire profiling charts and like got stuff optimized down to, like it was 80-90% faster for some people. And it was already pretty quick for it is awesome. I love that kind of stuff.
That is sweet. So of course, Statamic is built on Laravel. It uses Laravel. Yep. How has, adapting Laravel or, basically starting with Laravel, how has that helped you grow Statamic?
Oh, I mean, it's been huge. Like Statamic 1 was built on Slim PHP. I don't know if you or anybody remembers Slim.
Oh, I remember it. I don't remember using it, but I remember it.
Yeah, dude, like 90% of the app was all enclosures, like in a single file. Like it was like the routes file was the whole app. It's just hysterical. Then in version 2, we rebuilt it as a Laravel app, like as if you would build your own app and then you'd have it. But that meant like you're running a Laravel app, so you can't drop a Laravel app into a Laravel app. If you have a Laravel application and you want to add content management, you're like, well, you can put it on a subdomain and like put your blog there or something, right? So like, okay, that was a little bit of a swing and a miss. And so for version 3, we rewrote it as a composer package and, worked through all the being able to defer logic and make sure we're binding it late and all this kind of stuff so that you can drop it into apps and use it for the marketing pages or for whatever you want. Just use the API and pull stuff, into your app. And like people use it for iOS apps and like so people are using like Apple TV apps. Like it can do all sorts of stuff because it can run headless and just provide you an API and a good place to edit your content. I now don't remember what the question started as.
I think you answered it. I was just asking, like what Laravel brought to the table by you picking that.
Yeah. So like once we finally like made it to Laravel as a composer package, now we kind of like slot into the ecosystem of tools available to you for any Laravel app. And then that also let us, build in compatibility with other Laravel packages and take advantage of being able to let people extend it in really comfortable Laravel-like ways, being able to bound stuff in the app service provider and, do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it gave us convention. It gave us a wider audience with which, to reach people with. Just, like I'm looking for a Laravel CMS I can drop in. There's a few options, but Statamic is a really good one. So yeah, it's been great. And to have like a Statamic be this micro, mini subset of the greater Laravel community, it's fantastic. Like it's like the same Laravel vibe, but like kind of even better because it's a smaller, like more familiar crew, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is awesome. And, it's great to sort of see Statamic grow, from those really, really early days. I sort of remember when it was first announced. And, now you've actually, I think this is your third year running a Statamic conference, but it's not really a conference. It's, you just go hang out with your buddies, right?
I mean, yes, pretty much. Depends on who you're talking. If it's a boss who's ready to write the check, pull the credit card out, there is for sure training and education. But it is like in the context of like hanging out on vacation with like 50 buddies. So yeah, it's we've done 2 so far. So I'm currently working on and researching and finding the right venue for 2025, and that'll be our third one. It's called Statamic Flat Camp.
Flat Camp, yes. And so I believe the first one was in like Boone, North Carolina, just out in the middle of the mountains.
Yep.
The second one was in what, Rome or somewhere
right
like that?
Of Rome. Yep. Which was amazing. I mean, like being in the mountains was beautiful. We had 5 or 6 cabins, like big cabins on top of a mountain. It was just us up there. We had to bring like caterers in. They like had to drive up the mountain and bring us our food. I'm like, I hope they show up. I don't have a plan B. It was kind of nerve-wracking because of how like rustic the setting was. Then in Rome, or outside of Rome, it was like this. It used to be an Olympic training facility that's now like a private resort for like private corporate events and like retreats. And so we showed up and it's like, hey, you're home now. Like, welcome. Everything is yours. If you see it, you can eat it. You can wander around in the kitchen. We have like a games room full of equipment. They had like sneakers and socks and tennis gear and like anything you could need to like play any of the sports they had on the grounds, like soccer balls and cleats and whatever. Like, help yourself to the wine cellar. And you like go down this like spiral staircase into the basement and it's hundreds of bottles of wine and it's like beautiful. Like it was grand piano. Like, take whatever you want. Just don't waste anything. Grab a bottle of wine, go to the bar, make some cocktails. It was like all set up. And then they had like private chefs. They like came in or like on site and they just had 3 meals a day, just insane. Like, yeah, it was great. Like octopus and, steak and lasagnas and like pastas and all sorts. I mean, it was insane. It was like it exceeded here I'm just gushing about it. It was like exceeded every expectation and everyone, I think, had a good time. But we learned a lot too. There was a really, really good amount of knowledge transfer and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I made that comment half jokingly, but you having it that small and so intimate, you probably actually learn more than you would at a traditional conference because all you're doing is listening to somebody speak for an hour. Where here, you're actually making those connections, and you're not only getting the friendships out of it, but you're able to then ping those people that that were there and they're super smart with Statamic. So when you run into a problem later, you're like, oh yeah, hey, remember when we were in Rome? Let me ask you this question that I'm running into, and I feel like that's just something you can't mimic from a traditional conference. That's really sweet with the way you're doing that flat camp.
Yeah, 100%. Like we had a daily like roundtable session. We'd have, we all get in a room and have, a couple of things we want to talk and share, and then would chat with each other, like would have a Q&A session. And then from that Q&A session, like the number 1 or 2 topics that came up, like people want to talk about more, like, all right, at 3 o'clock by the pool, we're going to talk about enterprise Statamic. And so it was like 15, 20 guys like in our bathing suits talking about enterprise, like, and then, the next day we were talking about, Vue.js upgrade, and people like stayed up, like pulled an all-nighter trying to like upgrade Statamic to like the new version of Vue. Like it was super fun. Like it was a great time.
That's awesome. Yes, that's super cool. Because it is funny because like if you as a normal person, when you go on vacations, even if you go with friends, you don't have that connection of, or at least I don't have that connection with anybody that knows anything that I do. So it's got to be pretty wild having a house full of people that all do the same thing and have that shared bond and shared connection. So that's I think you're onto something here.
I know I am. Yeah, it's for sure. It's amazing. And to have the whole place to ourselves is like anybody, even if you don't know them, you can walk up, hey, I'm Jack, I'm Eric, and like what kind of projects do you work on? We already have commonality between like we do Statamic and probably Laravel too. And you can just like strike up a conversation, and then you're talking about your kids and your family, and like then you're just friends and you're grabbing a beer and whatever. Yeah.
That's sweet. So to change gears a little bit, so version 5 just came out did you say February?
April. Yeah.
April. So is Statamic running on sort of a yearly release cycle like Laravel itself, or do y'all just more sort of when stuff gets done, it comes out?
Yeah. So we synced up with the Laravel release schedule along with Statamic 4. So we trail about 4 to 6 weeks behind just to make sure we have, like, all right, things are locked in. We're currently supporting the last 2 versions of Laravel so that everybody doesn't have to do a Laravel upgrade every year if they want to upgrade Statamic, because like for people who are running Laravel apps and they want to do that, it's great. But if you're just using Statamic as a CMS and you quote, don't care about Laravel, it's kind of a bummer to have to do a Laravel upgrade alongside like every year, right? So we're trying to solve that story. Like we've been talking with Jason McCreary, maybe we can do like a shift specific to Statamic. But so we bridged 2 versions, which means we need a little extra time when there's like a hard dependency change between one version to the next. We have to bridge support for, taking advantage of new stuff, but still making the old way work. So it's a little bit of a, complex problem, but that's what, we're kind of on the framework side of a problem. Like we solve the problem so other people don't have to. And and so we just trail a little bit behind. But that way we have a major release every year, and that lags behind Laravel.
Yep. Sweet. Well, so it might be a little too early. Any big V6 things you're willing to talk about yet?
Yeah. So interestingly, like we don't like build features for the major release, right? Mm-hmm. So like 6.0, like we might, but like we don't. If we're working on a feature, whenever it's done, we ship it. Whether we're 2 weeks from V6 or like if it's ready and it can work on the last version and the current version or whatever, we'll ship it because our audience can take advantage of it today. Why hold it back? I don't love marketing features for big version numbers. We did that for a long time. We did that for like 7 or 8 years, and it ended up with like long running feature branches because you had all these different things that were codependent on the marketing date, and then you're like, oh, we got to redesign the brand and blah blah blah, and like you've got all this stuff just sitting there. So we went Semver, but I can't answer like the spirit of the question, which is what cool stuff are we working on, right? And so we're working on the forms module. So we want this year we want our forms to be more powerful, more end user friendly. So like a non-technical person could like whip up a form and do landing pages and click funnels and all that kind of stuff. We're working on two-way relationships. Right now, all the Statamic relationships are kind of one-way, so they're not, they don't like reverse. You can't reverse the relationship out. So we want to solve that problem. There's some add-ons that do it, but we want it to be like really tightly core coupled. We're working on some pretty big SEO specific features using OpenAI and LLMs and vector embeddings and stuff to like essentially create like automatic linking, like cross-linking opportunities and track, all the linking, like internal and external links between all the content in your site, being able to automate all of that. And it's come along pretty nice. What else? Let me pull up my board, see if there's anything interesting I can say. Working on, so the Statamic control panel currently is still running Vue 2 because I think it's the best version of Vue. But it's pretty deprecated at this point. So we're also pursuing Vue 3 for Statamic 6, which I honestly, I'm still reluctant of. I just prefer Vue 2. Actually, I prefer Vue 1. But yeah, it's time. So we're doing that as well.
Sweet. And just to sort of, to expand on the Vue side, with Statamic, the backend, the admin panel is written in Vue. But if you're using Statamic, you don't have to use Vue on your front end. You can use whatever you want.
Exactly.
I just don't make sure nobody's, thinking, oh, well, I'm stuck with Vue now if I'm choosing Statamic, but that's not the case at all. You can use whatever you want.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, that is exactly the case. If you want to build a custom field type for Statamic, currently it would be a Vue 2, you have a Vue 2 component that would do that. But yeah, so that's where the difference, it really doesn't matter for like 99% of the users. But yeah, it's for those add-on developers who want to take advantage of Vue 3 packages, like, oh, we'd love to drop in this, I don't know, whatever, like custom field and use this new cool thing. Like, you can't do that right now. So I'm gonna solve that. Gotcha.
All right, this one's I got a hard one for you. So,
hit me.
Every founder makes mistakes along the way.
Yep.
So, in the last 12 years of running Statamic, is there a particular failure or anything, that shaped your approach to now? Made you improve? Made you do anything differently?
Gosh, where to start? So many mistakes. So you want to talk about today, or since the beginning? I would say.
Well, does any stand out? I guess is the better wording.
Yeah, I would say like probably the biggest mistake we made is not making the repo open source from the very beginning. So Statamic 1 and 2 were both private repo, and one was like we hadn't, as a community, as a PHP community, hadn't really adopted Composer yet. So like that was reasonable. You would buy Statamic and you would download a zip file. That's how it worked. Statamic 2, Composer was kind of standard, like it was built on Composer, but we would get Archive or Composer Archive, like a bundle, and you would still download a zip file, which is just hilarious now to think that we even did that. Because we were afraid someone would steal the code base and like not give us money. Mm-hmm. Because like trying to get it going and being able to find time to work on it when you're like a 1, 2, or at some time like 3-person company and it's your only money, like I can't work on it if you're not buying it, right? But by having that repo closed, we just missed out on so much opportunity for people who were willing to collaborate, who would solve the problem because they're just in there hacking around because they need to launch a project, and it didn't build trust in a way that just having an open repo does, right? So now like Statamic Core is free. It's open source. It's not MIT, like you can't resell it, but like you don't have to pay for it. You can install it. You can use it for free. You get one user and one contact form, but otherwise you have all the other most of the other features, and you can just use it. And so like we have a huge open source community now around it. People, like, we have PRs come in almost faster than we can review them at this point. So I think that's a good problem to have. I don't see that as a problem. Some people like, oh, PRs. Like I was talking, I think it was Caleb Porzy. I was like, do you hate when people send PRs? And I'm like, no, dude, PRs are amazing. It's literally someone doing my job for me. And all we need to do is like read the code instead of solve the problem, right? And say like, oh, yeah, it works, it tested, like we just tinker with it. Anyway, so yeah, that was a mistake that I would say really slowed our growth, like not having a free to try or free to use simpler version and having it closed source. Like until we opened it, we didn't really grow. Like it was 5 years of like not getting anywhere. And then I'm like, I don't know, like, let's just try opening the repo. And like, if you look at our, like our revenue, like that's where it ticks and starts heading in a direction that most people generally prefer, which is up and to the right. So yeah.
Yes. Well, and it shows, more, I don't want to say before it was very isolated, but it just shows how big, it has more of a community feel, maybe is the right wording, as you come in and look at it and you're like, oh, well, all these people are, contributing and helping. And then, from there, then it builds up your, your support through, I think y'all are using Discord.
Yeah, we have Discord for the community side.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. But like GitHub issues are where people submit, bug reports, and we have discussions and, all that stuff. So yeah, having the standard set of tools, like, oh, you work in Laravel? Like it's, we kind of have the same set of tools for community and code. And it definitely makes a big difference. Like, oh, you guys have, I don't know, whatever it is, like 287 issues closed in the last 30 days. Like clearly this is an actively maintained project, right? If you come to a site and you're downloading a zip file, like, are you guys working on stuff? Like you can look at all our branches. Like we try to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I do. It just reminds me, you're bringing back old ancient history. I remember when I first started, it was like you would go to Hot Scripts and you would find something and you would either pay like $2 and download a file, or you would just go to PHP classes and like download this random code that somebody put out there. And
Code River, right on Envato, right? Download some whatever, like file uploader. Yeah.
Well, the problem is you never knew what you were going to get either. Could be like the most horrible code ever, and it's like, but I've already paid for it. I guess I'll just stick it in there, all with the security issues and everything.
Right. The old days, man. Yeah.
All right. So, one final thing on the Statamic topic, and this one's more for, I guess, the community side and from you personally, but what advice would you give developers that are wanting to create their own little products, within the Laravel ecosystem, as far as like, getting started, marketing, things like that? I mean, because it seems like we have a very, I guess you would call it bootstrappery or entrepreneurial spirit within the community itself. But those that are wanting to sort of get started on that route, how would you got any tips or advice for them?
Yeah, I would say start like by planning community up front in the beginning. Have a place where people can access you and be accessible in a way that is non-scalable for as long as you can, right? So if you're building, I don't know, like a photo gallery thing for Laravel, right? Like some dashboard thing, like answer questions, be available, hop on calls with people, go do things that, like if you added 2 zeros to your revenue, like you wouldn't do it anymore. But like until then, do those things. Like I'll still hop on calls with people. We try to be as personal as you can, and that makes a huge difference in trust and people. Like, because especially when we have something new, it won't do everything. The 1.0 is going to solve like the reason why you built it, and then like your maybe 3 other features that you think someone might need, and 2 of them actually nobody uses ever. And so getting that feedback from the community as early as you can, whether it's a Discord server or even just GitHub discussions, having some place where you can chat, especially in real time with people, makes a huge difference. And be as helpful as you can. Don't resent questions. Don't resent bug reports. When someone opens an issue on your project, it's because they didn't have to do that. They ran into a problem, and like be concerned when you don't get them, because that means they're just giving up. Like the fact that they take the time to fill out a bug report, give you an information, maybe a dump or whatever, try to be thankful and, thank them for the PRs, thank them for the issues, and go that extra mile.
Yeah. It shows they care, which is huge when you're running a business. If you have people care about the thing you're creating.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like
all right.
I've made custom t-shirts for people if like they send like enough PRs of like in a certain category. Like there's Jack Slight as a developer who did a bunch of PRs for our Bard editor. And so like I had a Bard shirt like ordered for him. It's like a dude playing a lute or whatever. And I was like, dude, Bard Master, thank you. Like just like little things like that, I think can go a long way.
That's awesome. Yes. Well, that actually kind of transitions perfectly. But man, that I don't know. Now I'm thinking about marketing and how great that is from a company standpoint, you know, to make that personal effort and, you know, show the people that that you really appreciate them, and nothing goes above and beyond more than making something custom for a customer like that. And that's just amazing. Good work on that.
20, $30. Like,
yeah,
you could spend 10 times, 100 times that on Twitter ads or Google ads and get like nothing out of it, right? Other people are your best marketers. Someone who's not your company is instantly more trustworthy because they're not like incentivized to do it mostly. I mean, paid influencers is another thing, but like, yeah, people who are talking about your product, like notice them, thank them for that, and like take care of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't, absolutely can't beat word of mouth. That's 100% for sure. But so you talked about a custom t-shirt. So this transitions perfectly into what I want to talk about next. And we'll just start with, I had to print this out to make sure I got it right, but your Twitter bio image says you are the Willy Wonka of the web world. So, you know, to all that follow you or know you, not only do you love coding Laravel, Statamic, but you love design and you have a very unique outlook on design. And it's really sweet because like you have, you know, everything now is just so standardized, I guess, where everything Jack designs stands out, and it's like, that's a Jack joint that he made. So how did have you always just been into design as well as coding, or?
Yeah, really always had been. Like I was actually designing before I learned to code. Like I would be like, as a teenager in my bedroom on my 486 or I don't know, whatever it was at the time, whenever like the first version of Photoshop I managed to get my hands on by downloading 57.rar files and like jamming them together, right? I've, you know, been doing Photoshop tutorials, and like I never really thought like back in the day that I'd make money at it. I just loved it. I wanted to see if I could make something. And then yeah, over the years, like didn't have a designer work on something or didn't have a code, like I just keep sharpening both sides of the tool set until I was pretty decent at both. And I don't know if it's because I was homeschooled or whatever. I just like, I don't feel comfortable like sitting in like the mainstream, you know, like aesthetic or trends or like with any, like not just like with everything, sometimes to my own detriment, but yeah, when it comes to design stuff, though, I just fell in love with making funky, weird, wacky, especially like 80s and 90s based designs. And not everything I do is wacky. I mean, to be clear, it doesn't always fit the need. But whenever I can, like I will amp up the personality on everything I touch as much as is reasonable, and then a little more. You know, if for everybody that's new to Laravel and Laravel community, there was, man, 3 or 4, it might have been a little longer than that, but Jack designed the Laracon US website in this synth 90s 80s vibe. It was just Miami Vice. Yeah. Like it had all those vibes to me, and it was wonderful. We'll have to link that one. All pixel art. And it looked like Ninja Turtles, like 93, and then there was Vaporwave, and like, yeah, that was at the PlayStation Theater in Times Square, and like I got to design all these like crazy sized screens, like down the hallways and out front in like Times Square, and like did all this like neon, and like it was super fun. I would love to time travel back and just like walk through it again because it was so cool. Yeah,
that was a super fun event. And then Jack had the Statamic booth set up with you know, an old Nintendo with Mortal Kombat on it. Street Fighter. Are they not the same?
No.
Or was that very offensive what I just said?
Very offensive. You clearly aren't good at either.
Clearly. But one of the other cool things that came out of that was you introduced, there was there was an album or a band and that had the same sort of vibe feel to it. And now I cannot remember the name of that, but it was like, the Midnight, yes, because I listen to that all the time now. It's like red wine and kick drums or something, and it's like I listen to this all the time. So it's been on my playlist ever since that event.
Yeah, I'm seeing them in like 2 weeks. Yeah, they're my favorite band. Yeah, the Midnight.
That's awesome.
You can look at Statamic. You can whatever. We'll talk about my design course in a minute, but go check out the Midnight. They're the best.
This is that word of mouth we were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's awesome. Well, so I guess I'm trying to think of a right thing, because it seems like if you're a designer, you're not a developer, and if you're a developer, you're not a designer. So are you like this sort of like unicorn special person that was brought up eating like raw eggs, and now you can do all this stuff, or is it like you're just made that way, or just hard work?
Yeah, it was. I would have to stand on an ice block for I really think anybody can do it. I think the key is you just have to want to. I think like if you are someone who can teach yourself how to code, like coding is like parts of it are easy, but then like to get really good at it is really hard. Like there's a lot of time you have to put into that. If you're willing to put in a fraction of that time into getting better at design, I promise like you could be as good as me. I feel like I forget how to do everything every morning when I wake up, and I have to teach myself it again like real quick. And maybe that's my superpower. It's just I'm fast at learning and like I'm bad at remembering. But I really think, and I put this course together because over the years I've like helped people along, like, hey, I want to try and like get better at design, and I would just kind of work with someone one-on-one. It doesn't take very long to like there's like shackles that are on people. There's like you're getting in your own way, thinking of like what the design process actually is. And so with my course, I wanted to walk through all those steps, like what it actually takes to design, and like strip back a lot of myths and things, and show like, yeah, you as a designer, you don't have to design every item in your design. You just have to make a unique composition. And so you can use asset libraries and like download everything and copy stuff and change it and tweak it and like just remix. Like if you think of it as being like a DJ, if designers are DJs, they're just like remixing other people's music. All of a sudden it gets a lot easier than like, oh, I need to be Taylor Swift or whatever, and like create something totally original from scratch in my basement without looking at the outside world. Like that's really hard. But like Sketch and Figma or Photoshop, these are like, there's a lot of things you can do, but the basics, you only need a couple of the basic features: layers, shapes, text, shadows. Yeah. Like it's all about just putting the time in and knowing like what to focus on. And I don't think I'm special. I think I just maybe have a special perspective that I'm just trying to share with people. And if that means eventually I won't have to do design anymore, so be it. That's okay.
Yes. So his course is radicaldesign.com, right?
Radicaldesigncourse.com.
Radicaldesigncourse.com. But the way you just described that, it's almost the same as programming. Like we have all these patterns and things that have been passed through the ages, and now we just kind of figure out where they should go. So it's sort of the same with design, like you're just saying there. You see something that you kind of like, just kind of remix a little bit, make it into your own style, and there you go. It's amazing how much like that same thought pattern actually translates, and like you can learn how to code and make stuff work, and then like writing clean code is a skill unto itself, right? Like refactoring and like breaking it out into smaller methods and things, that like picking good variable names, like. There's functional, and then there's pretty, and it's kind of the same thing. Like you can make a functional design, and then as you get better, you can pretty it up and tighten up the layer, the spacing and the the type flow, and picking better fonts, and it just builds on itself over time. You just have to like put the time in. Exactly, just like everything. Put the effort in. All right, so moving on. So I will have links to all this stuff that we're talking about in the show notes. But I want to do one more question, and then I'll let you, then we'll go from there. But so when you're not working on Statamic or design or Laravel, and you're wanting to get away from this screen, what do you go do? What's your hobbies?
It's fishing. Usually it's fishing.
Fishing.
Yeah. So I live in Florida, and yeah, I mean, I love saltwater fishing in the rivers, going offshore with my buddies, catching, mahi and tuna. And just got like last weekend, we just came back from upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains on a fishing trip where a couple of guys, we like buy like a trophy, and whoever catches the most like inches and weight or whatever of like bass and pike like gets to take the trophy. So like, yeah, fishing is probably my number one. I like video games. I love reading. I love like fantasy. I'm a big fantasy nerd, so always in the middle of like the next fantasy trilogy or something. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have two fishing questions.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever caught a sailfish? And have you ever been, what's the one where you go into the stream and you fly fishing? Have you ever done fly fishing?
So I've got a fishing crew that I go out with. It's like 4 or 5 buddies. We all go out. We're called Torch 2, and we actually have a YouTube channel that I like never talk about because like most people don't care about fishing. Like the intersection's pretty small, the Venn diagram between Laravel and fishing. But if you actually like fishing, go just look at the Torch Tuna on YouTube. Anyway, so I almost always go out on every single outing, and I've gone out probably 50 or 60 times in the last 2 years, like offshore. I've missed a couple. I've missed 2 or 3, and one of those 3, they caught a sailfish, and I wasn't there. So it's like, oh man, I was so close. I saw one, like I was on the boat when one hit, but it didn't hook up, and it was like jumping out of the water, which was pretty cool. But yeah, have not caught a sailfish yet.
I think they're pretty. Like I just, to me, because I've always heard there's sort of like this mythical creature in the ocean that it's really hard to catch, and then when you catch them, it takes you like 4 hours to pull it in or something crazy.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, they can get big. Like marlin can take a really long time. We haven't targeted marlin because they're super deep. They're down like thousands of feet. But yeah, sailfish like to be on the surface, and they're super fast. And they got a sword and whatnot. And fly fishing, yes, I have fly fished up in the upstate New York, and I used to do that quite a bit. I would love to pick it up again. I've been thinking about getting into saltwater fly fishing as well, which is a little bit different, but still pretty cool.
Yeah. That is neat. Yeah, I've not done, I grew up like more like just traditional like bass fishing, and we'd go catfishing at night. But I've always thought fly fishing would be cool. But then it's like, well, then I got to learn how to like throw a fly rod or whatever that's called. Yeah, it seems hard.
You got to learn how to do it. It's not that hard. You can get pretty good at it in like a day. It's not that bad. 10-2, baby. But yeah, I love bass fishing though. Like there's something really fun about being on a boat and just like in a small mountain lake and just working the shoreline. It's fun. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the way I was thinking of fly fishing. You're like in the stream in the mountains, and there's nobody around for hundreds of miles probably, and you're just like out here fishing in this peacefulness of the stream.
Yeah. It is therapy for sure. You're just busy enough that you're not thinking about work, but it's peaceful enough that you're like, yeah, it's great.
That's awesome. All right. So I don't really have anything else on my list. Is there anything that I didn't mention that you want to bring up, or any things that I need to tell the world about?
That's a really good question. I did not come prepared for that. No. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I went to 90s Con, like this weekend. That was cool.
That's awesome.
But the world doesn't need to know about a thing that I did on the weekend. So no, I think that's good. Thanks for having me here.
Well, thank you so much, Jack. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Laracon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's chat again let's not like have to wait for another podcast episode. Yeah.
That sounds great. All right. Thanks, Jack.
You got it.